algebra and geometry? Yuck! But Miss Pocket Ronnie can help you.
Okay, if you notice here, we have two equations and we have two unknowns. One of the ways to solve two equations and two unknowns is by graphing. Our two unknowns are x and y. We are going to use graphing to solve or find the solutions for x and for y. Anytime you have two unknowns, if you have two unknowns, you have to have two equations, 1, 2, to be able to solve for x and y. So here we are going to use the graphing method to find our solutions for x and y. Since we are graphing, anytime you're graphing, you always have to put your equations in slope-intercept form. You can see that this equation here for line E is not in slope-intercept form. So let's put it in slope-intercept form. Okay, so I'm going to move up here. X minus y equals 2. So to put it in slope-intercept form, I need to subtract my x over. So that means I'll have negative y equals negative x plus 2. Okay, I now have a negative in front of my y that I've got to get rid of. So I have to divide everything by negative 1. So that negative goes away, so that means I have y equals a negative divided by negative is a positive, and x divided by 1 is just x. Positive divided by negative is a negative, and 2 divided by 1 is just 2. So here is my new equation I'm going to graph. Y equals x minus 2. Okay, this is right here. Y equals x minus 2. That is this equation in slope-intercept form. So let's graph that. So y-intercept is negative 2. Go down negative 2. My slope is 1, which is 1 over 1. Means rise up 1, go to the right 1. So here is my line right there. That is line E. Label that line E. Now let's look at line F. X plus 3y equals 6. That also needs to be changed into slope-intercept form. So if we start with x plus 3y equals 6, we need to subtract our x over. So now we have 3y equals negative x plus 6. We divide everything by 3. That goes away, so if y equals, that's like a negative 1 in front of there, so it's like negative 1/3 x plus 6 divided by 3 is 2. So our new equation that we need to graph is y equals negative 1/3 x plus 2. Okay, this is in standard form, this is in slope-intercept form. So this is what we're graphing now. Our y-intercept is positive 2, so that's positive 2. Our slope is 1 over 3, negative 1 over 3. So come here, go down 1, over to the right, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that is our line right there. That's line F. So the solution for x and y is where these two lines intersect. So once you graph two lines, you want to look at where they intersect. They intersect right here at this point. This point, you have to look at what the coordinates for this point is. The coordinates for this point are 1 over 3, 1, 2, 3, went up 1. The coordinates for that point is 3, 1. That is an x value and a y value. So the solution for this, number 9 says, where is the point where line E and line F intersect? They intersected at the coordinate 3, 1. That is your x and y value. So that means your solutions for these to solve for x and y, your x is going to be 3, your y is going to be 1. So for these problems, you are basically graphing two lines and you are trying to determine where do those two lines intersect. Okay, we are still on 13B and we're now going to do numbers 1 through 3. We still have two equations and two unknowns. Our unknowns are x and y, so we need to have two equations. We are trying to solve for x and y by graphing. So you're going to graph two lines and then determine where they intersect. So when you're graphing lines, make sure everything is in slope-intercept form. So we're looking at line A, y equals 2x plus 5 halves. That is in slope-intercept form, so we don't have to change anything. So you graph the y-intercept first. 5 over 2. Well, do you know where 5 halves is on the graph? If not, you need to change that improper fraction into a mixed number, okay, to graph. So you need to change improper fractions to a mixed number to graph. 5 over 2 is the same thing as 2 and 1/2, okay? 2 1/2 is the same thing as 5 over 2. So now that we know 5 over 2 is 2 halves, we now can go graph our y-intercept 2 1/2. So that's a positive, so go up 1, 2, and then go up another half of a mark. Graphing is just estimating. It's not as an accurate method as the other two methods that you will learn. Graphing is just estimating. You are just estimating where half is on the graph. Now that you know where your y-intercept is, you count your slope. Your slope is 2. If you want to make it 2 over 1, it's positive. So it means you go up 2 and then over to the right 1. So you start from your y-intercept and you go up 2. So if you are at a halfway point here, you go to the next halfway point to count 1, the next halfway point to count 2. Now we go over to the right 1, and we are still at our halfway marks. We are not on exact crosshairs. So there's our 2 points for our line. And that is line A. Label that line A. Now we're going to graph line B. Is line B in slope-intercept form? Y equals -1/2 x plus 5 halves? Yes, it is. We've already determined that 5 halves is 2 1/2. Okay, so graph your y-intercept at 2 1/2 up 1 2 1/2. We already did that with the other one, so right there. Then you count your slope. Slope is -1 over 2. -1 means go down 2 and then go to the right, go down 1 and then go to the right 2. So from our y-intercept, go down 1, so we go down 1 to the next halfway point, and then go over to the right 2, 1, 2. And so this is line B. So label that as line B. We are trying to determine where these lines intersect. They intersect right here at that point. That point is the coordinates for the solutions, our XY solution. So what is the coordinate for this point? Well, we didn't go anywhere in the X direction, so our X coordinate is 0. So number 3 says, what is the point where line A and B intersect? Our X coordinate is 0. We didn't go anywhere in the 0 direction, then we went up 1 2 1/2. So you can either write 0, 2 1/2 or 0, 5 halves. 5 halves is the same thing as 2 1/2. So that is your X value and that is your Y value for where these lines intersect, and is the solution for X and Y by graphing.